Hey y'all, I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Bodice Siblings,
the podcast where we read all the books we used to steal off our grandmother's nightstands.
And then we drink about it.
On this episode, we read Lightning by Dean Koontz.
Dean motherfucking Koontz.
This book has, let me just try to enumerate this. It has ableism. It has good Nazis. It has the strangest fat shaming I think we have ever seen. It has sexual abuse of children that is fated by the universe. It has like children who die in a fire. It has like if you have like a ward of the state trauma, we got like that in fucking spades. It's got like violence. It's got other Nazis who are not good Nazis. It's got people telling Winston Churchill shit that people oughtn't to be telling Winston Churchill. Did I forget anything? Make sure you snort into the microphone.
The trigger warning is this. The trigger warning is we read a fucking Dean Koontz book. That's the trigger warning.
Well, let me explain why.
Dean Koontz's hair is just the beginning of the myriad of problems that we face in this book. I'm holding the microphone because I used to be super horny for Dean Koontz books. And I'm like, Courtney, you were an asshole. You were an asshole.
I will link in the show notes. There's this amazing profile of Dean Koontz that not only has many pictures of Dean Koontz with Dean Koontz's hair, but that Dean Koontz's house is banana pants, and the way that Dean Koontz talks about Dean Koontz's house is also banana pants.
Another major trigger warning in this is somebody just fucking around with the timeline.
Yeah, in a way that I think is probably deleterious to literally everybody in this.
Also, just misrepresentation of how fucking Department of Social Services work.
I don't know. That probably is actually how Department of Social Services works. They just stick you with a child molester and then like...
As someone who has adopted a child from the Department of Social Services, I will tell you...
Was it in California?
Oh, well, yes. We know that South Carolina has much more rigorous standards. All right, I guess we should try this again.
No, I think this is actually great.
Okay.
Let's move forward with this.
We're doing it.
So what we're doing here is we're trying to do like a road trip summer. Like what kind of shitty books do you take on a road trip? And I read this book several times as a kid. And I was like, it's romantic. Let's read this one.
This was not my jam. I will tell you. I used to read all the... Watchers was my book. Watchers. And just Jay and Silent Bob talk about Phantoms was my jam. But this one I did not like. And I remember why.
I did actually enjoy it upon rereading it. I'm like, I don't feel good about this. It's like eating my 8th pound of ice cream or whatever. But like, I am...
Which is surprising because this book centers around a blonde man.
Yeah, and I don't like a blonde man. That's true. So. But I mean, you know, he understands what he's done wrong.
Okay. Let's rip it and rip it.
All right. Yeah. So who the fuck is Dean Koontz if you are under 30?
Jesus Christ. Dean Koontz. Dean Koontz is like...
Stephen King light.
Yeah.
He's the guy who, if you're not good enough for Stephen King, you read Dean Koontz. Every book by Dean Koontz looks like it is going to be like a cool sci-fi or fantasy thing or horror, but it's always actually just a fucking government plot. Every fucking time. It took me so many books to realize that as a child. Oh my fucking God.
So Dean Koontz
has a haircut.
Has written a shit ton of books. And I don't even... So his notable books are Odd Thomas, Demon Seed, Watchers. Watchers is a jam. I will say Watchers is really good. Phantoms, The Face of Fear, and then this piece of shit Lightning.
He wrote a ton of books. I mean, he's still writing, I guess. Right?
Yeah. So he and his wife, Gerda. He's also got a bunch of, pseudonyms that he uses. It doesn't matter.
To not be Dean Koontz.
Yes.
This seems mean. I mean, the guy seems fine.
No, he's a little bit of a douchebag. So he was born in 1945 in Pennsylvania. He said that he was regularly beaten and abused by his alcoholic father, which influenced his later writing. Also, the courage of his physically diminutive mother in standing up to her husband. I don't know why you had to be physically diminutive to stand up to somebody. Okay, so he went to some schools. Great. We love that for him. He loves a dog. He
does love a dog. He loves a golden retriever.
So, disputed authorship. A number of articles and novels were ostensibly written by Koontz in the 60s and 70s, but he stated that he did not write them. These include 30 erotic novels allegedly written together by Koontz and his wife Gerda, including...
Courtney! I didn't know this.
Okay.
Do we got to read some Dean Koontz porn?
So, he and his wife Gerda include the books such as 13 and Ready.
Oh no! No!
Swappers Convention.
What?
and hung. The last one published under the name Leonard Chris. They also include contributions to the fanzines Intergama, I can't say that, and Via Bohemia in the late 1960s.
Courtney, you have unraveled me.
I have. Okay, he also wrote in How to Write Best-Selling Fiction, a much revised version of writing popular fiction. So anyway, I wonder if hung is the same thing as the film adaptation. All right.
Okay, usually when we do these things, it's that like Janet Daly is like, no, I didn't plagiarize from Nora Roberts. But in this one, it's like, oh, no, I didn't write these 20 books about fucking.
So the film adaptations, we have Demon Seed in 1977, starring Julie Christie, Fritz Weaver, and Robert Vaughn. We have Passengers, and then we have Watchers, which is a Courtney Jam, starring Corey Haim, Barbara Williams, and Michael Ironside. Whispers, Victoria Tennant, and my boyfriend, Chris Sarandon. The Face of Fear, Pam Dauber, who I love, Lee Horsley, and Kevin Conroy. And then, let's see, I can't believe they made a third Watchers. That's crazy. Phantoms was a jam. Peter O'Toole, Ben Affleck, Rose McGowan.
What? Peter O'Toole?
Have you not seen Phantoms? Bitch.
No.
All right, well,
I had older parents and no siblings.
All right, so Phantoms will be a Patreon. You guys can look for that. That'll be great. And then Odd Thomas in 2013, starring the late Anton Yelchin.
Okay. So that's who Dean Koontz is. I am sorry.
This is wild because I'm coming in this with a full array of Dean Koontz knowledge, and I thought you were there with me. I didn't know.
I did not know
I didn't know I was going to have to pull you up. I did not know you didn't know all this about old Dean Koontz.
You knew about the porn?
I feel like I knew, like, Dean Koontz is my brain is so full of nonsense that Dean Koontz always has, like, a chapter there.
Well, me too, but the porn?
I think I knew that because Hung was the TV show. I think that might be Dean Koontz's. I'm not 100%. I'm not a Hundo P. I'm not Hundo P people.
No, I'm sorry. We have never got one of these authors where somebody's like, no, those wasn't my books when those was your books.
Well, it was him and his wife, so I guess good for Dean Koontz, but also this is wild. Like,
I knew about Dean Koontz, all right? I read a ton of Dean Koontz books. Which is the one where they're making fucking napalm in the swimming pool. I knew the one where the guy stops time and they like have a whole thing about their fucking jukeboxes. I read all that shit. But I did not know that he is writing dirty ass porn with his wife, which I generally support. Everybody should write some dirty ass porn with their wife.
Lightning that lingers.
That's true. That's some dirty ass porn somebody wrote with their wife.
Anyway, so let's get into it.
Holy shit. This is, okay, let me explain that this is going to be a very difficult book to explain because it is a time-traveling Nazi book.
I'm not going to describe it because y'all know once any kind of sci-fi shit happens, I'm out.
The thing is, I now read this 2 months ago. And also, 20 and 30 years ago. So I'm going to try to do my best. So this book... and it's got so many crazy issues about it. It is about, and you don't know this at the start, but I'll just go ahead and tell you about this man who is a good Nazi. He is a Nazi who has decided that being Nazi fucking sucks. Okay.
I think that what we can call him henceforth is just a Nazi sleeper agent because he's not really a Nazi if he doesn't ascribe to Nazi tenets.
That's true. I mean, like, what do I expect out of him?
He is a traitor to the National Socialist Party.
Right.
He is.
Yes. And
so he is not a Nazi. He wears the Nazi uniform, but he is not technically a Nazi.
Yeah, so I'm all like, he's a good Nazi. That motherfucker is a good Nazi. Well, what do I want a Nazi to be? I want a Nazi to be a guy who wants to blow up the fucking right.
We have not done the book cover. We have not done, we haven't even
read the book cover.
We're going in hot. We're coming in hot because Sarah's mind is so, like, scrabbled. Take a big woo-saw,
Well, also, the book cover, like, they're just all pictures of lightning.
Fair enough.
Do you want to read? I can read it. Hold on. I got it. The first time the lightning strikes, Laura Shane is born. The second time it strikes, the terror starts. Though 8-year-old Laura is saved by a mysterious stranger from the perverted and deadly intentions of a drug-crazed robber. Throughout her childhood, she is plagued by ever more terrifying troubles, and with increasing courage, she finds the strength to prevail, even without the intervention of her strange guardian. But despite her success as a novelist and her happy family life, Laura cannot shake the certainty that powerful and malignant forces are controlling her destiny. Because they fucking are. Anyway.
Yeah, it's one jackass.
Then the lightning strikes once more and shatters her world. The adventure and the terror have only just begun. So, let me give you the framework before we get into this, because what is happening here is a time travel shit. So the Nazis have invented a fucking time travel machine, and this dude, Stephan, while he's also working on bringing down the Third Reich, has a little passion project on the side. And his passion project on the side is this bitch that he met once. And you only find this later, but let me just go ahead.
He didn't even meet her. He didn't even, he like saw her and then he read her book. Like,
yeah.
He's a creep.
Yeah, he is a creep. He saw her through the window of a bookstore. She was doing a book signing. And he saw that she's a wheelchair user, and read her book, and he found her book extremely affecting. And he's like, well, I have a fucking time travel machine. In the time in between when I'm trying to fuck up Hitler, I fall in love with this woman. I should change the timeline so that she no longer has to be a wheelchair user, so she's no longer disabled. And so that just starts the beginning of this insane ableist story. So what he starts out as, and I mean, you only find out what's going on far later on in this, but I might as well tell you. So it starts off with him going and threatening the fuck out of a drunk ass doctor who's going to do a bad forceps delivery and fuck up her spine to start with. So she's being born and he's already like obsessed with fetus Laura. That's weird, right? And he goes in and he intervenes in that. So then obviously what you don't see is him going and checking in on her. Like, oh shit, he has to keep on going in and saving her. Because for one thing, time keeps trying to revert. And for another thing, like she has the worst fucking luck of like anybody.
But I don't, it's fine. We'll delve into it. I don't know if because again, he read her book, saw her, and was like, she's beautiful. I fell madly in love with her, but she was in a wheelchair. And I don't know if he was like, hey, she's perfect, except she's in a wheelchair. Let me fix that. And then he just made everything terrible, or if her life was going to be terrible.
I think the first thing was going to happen. The
first thing was going to happen.
No, the shooting, I think, was going to happen, because I think that must have been in the book. So when she's like 8, her mom died. Giving birth to her. That was like, I guess, something you couldn't fix, even though, like, you know, whatever. He wasn't good enough to fucking fix that. But so her dad owns like a convenience store. And so one reason this was like really, I guess, like kind of whatever resonated with me is that my aunt and uncle had a convenience store in Buttfuck, Georgia, and did have like a holdup like this, and a pregnant woman did get shot and died.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's awful. But so somehow that like kind of like, I don't know, stuck with me with this. So what happened in this was that like this guy comes in, this like, I don't know, he's all up on whatever drug. I don't think Dean Koontz could name any specific drug. But and doesn't just come in and try to kill, like hold up the store and kill her and her dad. She's 8. This guy wants to rape her. And so Stephan comes up and kills him and says, I was never here. Here's the story.
Yeah.
So I think that was already going to happen also. That was maybe part of the original story for her. But the fact is, it doesn't really fucking matter.
No, because time's a son of a bitch.
Yeah, time's a son of a bitch. So if a child molester was after you, guess what? If a good Nazi comes in and fucks up that for that child molester, all other child molesters in an 80-mile radius are now like, you got a target on your back. It's like how in Buffy, there's never like no unicorns want to go to the Hellmouth. It's always like mean shit. So every child molester now wants to like just completely murder and ruin Laura, and the rest of her life is just like it's just like a law of unintended consequences. This man is trying to take down. See, what the Nazis are doing is trying to figure out how the Third Reich falls and make that not happen. So of course they have dominion over all. But instead of working on that, this man is always like,
I got a problem with this, because if I had a fucking time machine, if I had a goddamn time machine, I would not be like, what I'd be doing is like, what's happening a week? What's happening? Like, I'd be starting small. I'd be like,
with the lottery numbers.
No, I'd be like, hey man, let's see what's going to happen in this battle. Let's see what's like, let's fucking find out where people are going to be.
No, they send it to like 1989.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to see what's going on 40 years in the future and see how this pans out. So he's like, he's just rocking, wearing some Miami Vice like look.
That's the best part.
And like listening to Hall & Oates.
This is 1988.
So So you're saying that people weren't listening to Holiday?
No, I'm just explaining that for the people at home. We never said the date.
Why? Why would you not, instead of trying to find out the outcomes of battle?
Let me explain why. This is my theory of this book.
Ugh.
You want to hear my theory of this book?
I'm ready.
Because eventually, as we get through the plot of this book, you'll be like, this is Terminator 2. And then you'd be like, wait, this is years too early to be Terminator 2. This man went to go see Terminator, and he's writing fanfic about Terminator.
Dude, it's exactly what it is. It's insane, but with Nazis. Yeah. And you know what? I would much rather have Michael Biehn come and save me than have to deal with this fucking man. Because Michael Biehn at least lets shit pan out the way it's... Like, he is a better time traveler than this piece of shit. Marty McFly is a better goddamn time traveler.
This guy has to do so much fucking time travel. Let me explain...
There's too much time travel.
Very briefly explain the time travel in this. Is that you can get into this giant, like, fucking submarine machine and whatever, and you can go anywhere in the future, except... It will get you in the time, exactly, pretty much. It will get you in the place approximately, and a bunch of lightning happens in the sky. So that's relevant and useful eventually. When you come back, it has always been, 11 minutes? It's been a specific amount of time. I think it's 11 minutes. So, in other words, you only got to be standing there to fuck up that time traveler. Stephan
and his crew of Nazis make those dumb asseries from, what was it, Danger Zone? With the guy bringing his duffel bag with Dr. Peppers and, like, porn.
No, that was, Only Time, or...
Yeah, that motherfucker who showed up in blue jeans to the Confederacy. He makes him look like an astute... well-mannered, like, understander of, like, quantum physics. Like, quantum physics. This guy's like, stopping rapists, which, great, good for you. I love that. I love that you were stopping rapists.
Some rapists.
But, like...
He doesn't stop all the rapists,
well, you know, he can only stop so many rapists. But Sir, you have bigger fish to fry. Hitler. But, like... God forbid this little girl have been in a wheelchair.
She was happy. She probably had a family.
Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Anyway, so yeah, they stopped that. Her dad died like soon after that. He didn't stop that, by the way.
He stopped. You know what? He only
has a rapist radar.
No, but the dad died because he was sort of paunchy.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's going to get worse.
Oh, it does. It gets worse. This is a fat shaming book because the dad's like, oh, if only I was in shape, I could stop this man with a gun. Like, with what? Your bicep?
Honestly, it'd be better to be super fat, right?
Right.
Stop that shit with you. Anyway, so she does not get 8-year-old sexually assaulted by the tweaker. All right, but now Destiny has its fucking eyes on her, motherfucker. So what happens is when her dad dies, her dad has friends and she stays with him for a minute, but they're like, that seems like work. So they send her off to the orphanarium.
You know what? To be fair, though, we cannot just say to people, like, we can't...
Yeah, you're not responsible for somebody else's kid just because they die, but... At the same time, like, nobody checks on her. Like, nobody's, like, interested in her. Nobody's, like...
She gets sent to a girl's home.
And, I mean, those friends are not there. I mean, I understand if you cannot take on the burden of somebody's child. For God, no, you should not do that. But... I mean, it would have cost them nothing to call her every so often.
No, she gets sent to the orphanarium.
Yeah, and that's fucking it for her, man. And so the orphanarium is a bleak fucking place.
With the exception of the Wonder Twins.
No. We're going to talk about the Wonder Twins. But it has, like, a skeezy maintenance guy. They call him the eel?
That one, it was like the weasel.
It's an animal name, and he's obviously a child molester. But then, I mean, like, who isn't? Because she's got that target on her back. But also, they have her in a room with these two twins, and it is Ruth and Thelma. And these are...
They're a fucking delight.
Usually, Dean Koontz cannot write children at all to save his fucking life. The way he writes children makes you want to, like, throw them all out the fucking window into the child molester
Make them Euban shields.
Yes. But Ruth and Thelma are fantastic. They are, like, blackly funny. They
talk sort of like preteens.
Yeah, well, they talk like real children who've been through real trauma and are, like, funny about it.
Yeah.
You know, they're great.
At the time, Thelma is the more, like, outgoing, funny one, and Ruth's a little bit quieter.
And they stay in a room with a girl, and this is legit upsetting. I don't remember her name, but she's been obviously groomed by the eel or the weasel.
She is being sexually assaulted by this guy, the eel, the weasel, whatever.
And there's nothing they can do about it. And
because the girl also has a history of trauma and a history of sexual assault that, like, for her, this that she is not obviously complicit. She is not having consent because she is a mentally ill child, but she takes his physical whatever for affection, and she is devoted to
She
him.
also has a history of like suicidal ideation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's very upsetting, but it's actually done in this very realistic way, which is why it's actually upsetting. Most of the sexual assault in this book is done in such a cartoonish way that like whatever, but this stuff really feels.
Right. Like, and so the girl becomes the guy, the eel, the weasel, whatever slippery animal he is, starts to fixate on Laura, and the girl begins to get jealous of Laura because she is now getting the attention that, you know, and again, it's one of those where any attention is good attention. She wants that, and she starts to act out. But it's not until Stephan comes in and
Fucking Stephan.
this motherfucker, here's the thing. If you're going to commit to some shit,
You gotta commit to, okay, I'm sorry. You're a fucking good Nazi and you can't kill somebody. He just beats him.
he just beats the shit out of him. He's like, leave Laura alone. Now, he doesn't say, hey, don't fuck with any of these other little girls.
No. He's only here for Laura. And I mean, the thing is, like, this is a time where Laura was gonna buy, it's all contrived, but she was gonna be alone. And like, you know, she was going to be assaulted by this man.
Right.
Stephan just beats him up. He doesn't kill him.
Like, kill the man.
Kill the man.
Right? Like, in one of these books where, like, what are
You're trying to kill Hitler.
Like, the people that you were all gung-ho with until, like, you read this bitch's book were eradicating people left and right. But all of a sudden, you're like, well, I can't kill this one guy that's sexually abusing, like,
Yeah, just
children.
a beating seems good enough.
Vulnerable children. Like,
Yeah.
I have to have a moral standard. Like, I hate this man.
It's a mistake, okay? Let's just say it's a mistake. And he doesn't kill him, but it does save her that night. And then she gets sort of, I guess, like a trial basis adopted by this couple. And the woman has a heart condition. Why don't you speak to that, Courtney?
So this one, like this family, there's this man and woman, and they're very wealthy. They get this daughter. They get Laura, and she goes into foster care. But so they move in, and like the first day, they're like, let's go on this massive shopping spree. And, you know, we're going to go buy all these books and all these dresses. And the woman is like, well, I have a massive heart condition, so I can't like have children. And she's like, well, are you okay? She's like, oh, I'll be fine. I'm fine. I just can't have children. No big deal. And so then the weasel, eel, wormy animal comes and tries to rape Laura, and like Laura, like Stephan shows up and kills. Fine.
No. Stephan doesn't kill him. Stephan is not here for any of this.
She doesn't kill him.
Stephan does not show up. She kills him with a water glass she breaks. She fucking shoves a broken water glass through this man's throat.
So the woman
Stephan
shows up
nowhere.
after the fact, and like this man is dead, and she just dies because of her heart. I will tell you, like, as someone who is adopted through foster care, one, as much as you want to do like the big, like, let's go on a shopping spree, that shit doesn't happen. And when you take them, they get overwhelmed by choice. Laura would have been overwhelmed and like paralyzed by choice. That's not what I'm talking about. But like you have to do a physical. Like, there are people who are on board, like, bitching all the time, like, I'm 70. Why won't you let me, like, adopt a child? Because you're 70. Like, it's a whole thing. And they don't.
Well, they sent you back like more than once because of like the fire extinguishers in your house.
Yes, like it's a whole thing. It's not just like, oh, you just get you don't just get a kid, and you don't just like take them to a place. Like, you don't just like, hey, let's go to. I did appreciate talking about Walden Books because I was like, yeah.
Oh my God, Walden Books, yeah, the best.
Yeah, so this bitch dies, and then the dad immediately just sends Laura.
Yeah, you're back to the camps. I mean, like, fuck. And I mean, again, you are not. You should not take on the responsibility of the child. You are not ready to take on.
No.
But again, just back to the like.
No, and in between that, Laura has now aged out of the middle school orphan area and is in the high school orphan area.
Which is worse in different ways. But then she hears
about
holy shit, there's a fire. She runs for like 5 miles. And it turns out that the girl who was being abused by the eel or the weasel, whoever, had finally set herself on fire. And you know who else died? Is Thelma.
The funny one.
The funny one. The best one.
So we're left with Ruth.
And I mean, it is legit. I mean, like, I'm
It's
being
upsetting.
flip. It is upsetting, like not just for Laura, but for it's well done. I mean,
it is really well done.
Holy shit. And I mean, like, you know, of course, can you imagine if you were in this girl's home, but you had your twin with you, and then now you don't have your, I mean, holy shit.
The other half of you.
It would be bad if you had died in a car wreck with your family, but if you were alone in the world and that person, I mean, like, this is awful for Ruth. Awful. And I mean, like, so they were friends before, but after this, they are... And this is one thing that I love about this Ruth.
Just like these. Okay, so Ruth gets aged out, and they live together all through the rest of like their girls' home experience, and they go to separate colleges, or like Laura goes to college. Ruth is trying to make it as a stand-up comedian, but Ruth is part of this book. They are sisters. They are,
and the great thing about this,
they are family,
is that they come and go. Yeah. Right? They'll live close to each other, and then they won't. And then, I mean, like, and you see, like, fashion come and go through. It's great. I mean, like, I'm genuinely surprised that Dean Koontz, a man with that haircut.
I bet his wife wrote this part.
She might have.
I mean, you know,
like she probably wrote that porn.
Well, I do. I wonder, because like this part is written so well. So
yeah, I feel like this is not a thing.
So Laura has not seen her guardian, as she calls him, for quite a while, and now she is in college.
Yeah, because sometimes we should say sometimes she saw him and be like, you know, yeah.
So she starts, like, she's written a piece for, like, the literary magazine at the school, and it's about frogs. And it's a thing that her father used to tell her. He'd make up this, like, story about frogs.
Sir Toad, because, like, the toad is here on business from the queen and all that.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden she starts getting this, like, toad thing.
And it's not cute. It's actually really creepy.
Yeah, it's, like, creepy. And then it's, like, this tall, like, Dauber-esque guy from Coach who's like, I just really loved your piece, and I wanted it. And she's like, you're a creep.
And they go on this weird date.
Yeah, but then they go on she gives him another chance, and he ends up being the love of her life, and his
name is Danny.
And he's like he's a Vietnam vet, and he's just a little, like, he's just overly emotive, but not in a, like, he's not not a nice guy. Like, he's just like, I don't have.
But the whole thing is done in this way that he feels like a real person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had to say, like, maybe that's why I like this book.
Yeah,
people, so much of it really feels like real people, and then it's like fucking 90s time traveling. What the hell's happening?
Yeah, and so they end up, like, dating. He is the love of her life. They get married. She's written her first novel, and it's like gangbusters. And then she writes her, like, she is like essentially Stephen King.
Yeah. She's making so much bank that people actually know what she looks like. Which put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. So she ends up, like, her and Danny. They get married. They have a little boy named Chris. And about 6 years go by. They have a second home in Big Bear, and that's when you know you've made it. In 1980s California, if you got a Big Bear house, you're just.
Hell, in 2024, you can give me that Big Bear house. That'd be all right.
So one night they're driving home. They're going to go somewhere. And all of a sudden, Stephan shows up, and he's like, you gotta go. There's a car.
Go.
There's a car that's gonna be it's gonna run.
And she's like, I haven't seen you for 20 fucking years. And he's like, you gotta go.
What has been happening in Stephan's dumbassery is that he doesn't realize that some other guys, like, clocked them. And he's like, I know what you're doing. You're following this girl around, creep. So he's like, now it's my time for assassinations. And so he kills Danny. Danny gets shot, and then, like, Danny does, like, the heroic move to, like, buy them time. And she's like, Daddy, no. And it's very sad and terrible.
No, it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, and then
the action scenes are good too.
Stephan shoots this
I don't know his name, and it
Kolchak or whatever. You know what it was? It was like Krychak from the
Yeah, it was. It felt like that. Yeah.
So it's like he kills him, and he's like, hey, take this, and gives her his time travel belt. I'll see you in, like, 2 days. And then, like,
and he never shows up.
A year passes, and in that year
she turns into Sarah fucking Connor. And
she does. She turns into Sarah Connor, and
that's when I checked the year on this, because
in Terminator 2. All of a sudden she gets, like, super buff, and she's
got an Uzi everywhere.
This is where the word Uzi, like,
he is paid for the word Uzi.
He gets paid by that 3-letter word. And, like,
look, y'all, if you were young, you don't remember the cultural hold the Uzi had on the consciousness of America.
Uzi and the bazooka. So that following year, she is still writing. Her and Chris, she's homeschooling Chris. They live in the house in big.
She has an Uzi in every kitchen drawer.
Yes, in every room in the house, she's got an Uzi.
She got a plan.
She's got like big badass locks on that house.
Because anytime they could come back, right?
It's trauma. Like, this man just is like, take this, I'll be back.
So Ruth comes and says, hey, and they're like, yeah, let's have a picnic. And her picnic is like an Uzi picnic. Like,
yes, there's Uzis all around. Ruth's like, you good? And she's like,
I'm good, motherfucker. I'm good.
And so Ruth's like, well, I trust you. I'm going to go back. And Ruth, like, goes back to being a comedian. Ruth is kind of a Bette Midler type. Like, she's just made Big Business, the greatest movie of all time.
She's like a mouthy broad, right? Like,
what has happened is Ruth is in her Big Business, Ruthless People era, and she's about to go into her Beaches era.
And and what's amazing about it is that, like, it explains, I don't think a man wrote this. It's all about, like, what she's wearing, who she's fucking.
Yeah, she starts off as a punk rocker, and now she's got, like, this big fancy director husband, and she's like,
this might be why I like this book, because it feels like it was written, half of this book feels like it was maybe written by his wife.
Yeah. And so she, one night, her and Chris are just chilling, and all of a sudden the lightning starts. So she's like, well, here we go. Uzis for everybody. And Stephan shows up, and this is where
and he's shot already.
He's shot. Because he's been, like, in the meantime of, like, whatever.
Oh, but in the meantime, it's back in 1944. Yeah, he's been found out, sort of.
Well,
time travel.
Kolchak, whoever, was like, hey, man. So Chris, so Stephan's like, well, I got to destroy all this shit.
But he came from the wrong time period, and so therefore he can still come to get him. And that's a problem for Stephan. So, yeah, like, Stephan is trying to destroy the time travel thing, because eventually, of course, it will lead to the victory of the Third Reich. So he's got, like, this whole bomb plan, but then the lights go out because they're firebombing Berlin. So that's a problem. I mean, it was, why would you tie that to the main power? Why didn't you put a fucking battery on that shit?
I don't understand why you're spending all this, like, if time travel is a thing.
You can't go back.
Time travel makes more sense in fucking Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure than it does in this movie.
Yeah, it does.
Like, he's just like, well, and so she ends up having a bunch of Nazis, like, infiltrate her house. She shoots a bunch of them. Her and her son getting, like,
this is all, I will say, written very exciting.
No, it's like, they get in their souped up car. She's like, I'm in my Mercedes, we going, man. And then she meets up, like, they get to a hotel. Stephan's bleeding out.
They're actually very smart, because they were like, throughout the whole thing, and unfortunately, they haven't, this should have been the trigger warning. It's overly smart 9-year-old. Like, he's like, no, they would already be here if they knew what we did here.
I do remember from this book how he always said, what's the stupid word that you say with in time travel, if something happens that's not supposed to.
A paradox?
Yeah, he's like, paradox. And I was like, I slapped the shit out of him. But
so Courtney thinks that this child knows too much about, like World War II.
It's not even that. It's just that he's too, like, usually the kids bother you.
No, he's written terribly, but I will tell you.
He's so precocious.
I have a fucking 9-year-old, and he knows he wants to tell you what he knows about all these things, and you're like, oh my God, it's more complicated than that.
But why does he, but here's the thing, they usually have one area of
No, they don't. They know everything.
Well, how does this kid know about paradoxes? I'm just saying.
Now, he's at karate right now. If he were back here, we could get a fucking stupid ass answer from a 9-year-old. I'll just tell you that 9 is a weird fucking age. All right,
fine.
And their brains are so fucking smart, and they know nothing. They have no material to feed that brain. They have only so much material, but they want to tell you, do you know what? And you want to just fucking die all the time. Anyway, so it's her and this precocious 9-year-old, and they are actually making smart time travel decisions.
And Stephan, Stephan.
Yeah, Stephan, but Stephan is like fucked for a while.
Is this Stephan or I'm gonna call him by
Stephan, obviously.
I'm gonna call him by the Urkel alter ego.
Stephan.
The sexiest
He's
man.
Not Stephan.
The sexiest man on network television, Stephan Urkel, is what I'm gonna call him.
Stephan Urkel. So I mean, they end up like holing up in a hotel and all this, but they have they have Ruth, but they don't want to bring her in. So they bring her in the safest way they can. And they're making plans that are safe.
Because Stephan finally wakes up. He's like, hey, thanks for bandaging me, but I'm going to need a Commodore 66.
Yeah.
I'm going to be...
Oh, we forgot. They also went to this doctor and this whole romp. Well, anyway, you had to read the book to find that out. Anyway, no, Commodore 64, by the way.
Oh, yeah. He's like, well, we need the most advanced technology. She's like, where am I going to get that money? I'll go to the richest person I know. Well, she's rich, but she can't get to her. You know, she only has so much in cash. So they have to get somebody because the Nazis will look at magazines and fucking newspapers from the future.
Right. You got to assume that they're reading everything.
This is so stupid that they're just like who got, wait, do they just have a guy doing library work? Like,
yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah. They're in the microfilm. Like, whoa. They have, look. Courtney, they have unlimited fucking dudes. They have the whole fucking Wehrmacht. Yes. And they have unlimited time.
This is why they're getting their ass kicked everywhere else. Because they got guys in the library.
Courtney, it's time travel. You can send them as many times.
No, I don't agree. I hate
They're getting old. You know what you would hate? They're sending, like, imagine it's you. They're sending you forward every day to do library work on microfilm, and you're getting older and older and grayer, and your
I'm not doing this. But I'm saying, why are we not going to the U.S. in the 1940s to see, like, oh, let me go and see what's going.
Well, you can't get in there. You can't get into Roosevelt's fucking bunker.
Well, how? This is so stupid.
I'm sorry, I'm defending this.
So, anyway,
they also are doing that, which means that this would be going on 24 hours a day.
I'm sure it is.
No. In this book, this man, by the way, I should explain, he is not a time traveler. He's the night watchman or whatever. He's the guy they tried to train for language shit, but he couldn't get rid of his accent.
He's just a mid. He's just like some...
Yeah, he's not a top man on this thing. If you had this thing, it would be working 24 hours a day.
I guess that's why he's so bad at it.
Yeah, that's true. And the whole thing is bad. I mean, that's the thing. All right, let me explain before I say anything else about this entire fucking book. When I read this when I was a kid, I thought Nazis were a thing of the fucking past. And I also thought Nazis were fucking smart. Now, as an adult, I know that A, Nazis are not in the past, but B, Nazis are fucking stupid.
It's true.
So there you go.
Anyway, to avoid detection, I have to get Ruth involved. And she shows up with some burritos because she's my girl. And she's like, here's some money. And they go and then see the anarchist.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's where she's been getting her Uzis the whole time. Is it Fat Jim, Fat Joe, Fat Jack, Fat... His name is Fat something. It's like how every superhero who was black for a really long time was black something. Well, this guy's Fat whatever. Fat Joe. It's not Fat Joe. Fat Jack. Let's say it's Fat Jack.
Fat Joe is an early aughts R&B.
Yes, he is. So it's got to be Fat Jack.
Who got skinny? Fat Joe got skinny. Or did he die? One of the fats died.
The thing is, young people, it used to be that if you were fat on TV... And by fat, I mean like a size 16. Your entire personality was just that you were fat and you ate a lot of cake. So anyway, the fat boys, they ate a lot of cake. But so this dude who is an arms dealer in Los Angeles, fat whoever, we'll say Jack, he's fat because, are y'all ready for this? I had thought that I knew every kind of way to be fat shaming in literature of the time period, but I didn't. This guy is fat because he's an anarchist. Because fuck you, that's why he's fat. And honestly, I love him. I stan a king. Like he will sell you anything there is to sell. He sells you out of this like crazy fucking birthday Chuck E. Cheese fucking monstrosity. He won't sell you the ammo.
Yes, he's got like a crazy, weapon.
Neons. It's all neon.
For everyone who was wondering, Fat Joe is still alive, and his name is Joseph Cartagena, which is amazing. It is Big Pun who died. Big Pun died in 2000 at 28 and died weighing 698 pounds.
Well, you know what? That wouldn't happen to Fat Jack or whoever here because unfortunately, even though this woman was his customer for years and bought arms off of him for years and actually asked him to buy her completely Geneva Convention illegal nerve gas, and he got it for her. She's like, well, I'm gonna tip off the authorities after this because nobody should have that. Like, what the fuck? You thought you should have that, bitch? How the hell? You think that you should be able to go an arms dealer, but nobody else should? What the fuck kind of Karen fucking nonsense is that? But anyway, he's fat because fuck you. And you know what? I love him for that.
Also dead is the fat boy Prince Marky D, who died at the age of 52 in 2021. I'll check the other fat boys and see how they're doing. One fat boy got skinny. Good for him.
No, not good for him.
I mean, if he's going to take action on his health.
I'm just saying
but
that if
he's the only living fat boy. The other one,
I'm saying if the fat boy got happy.
Darren Robinson died in 1995 at 28.
The level of fat that you used to have to be a fat boy was really pathetic.
It was. I mean, really, the fat boys were not that. They were just mid-sized.
Yeah. Yeah, they were just
they were mids.
Like a
Disorderlies was my jam.
All right. So anyway, this man who was just possibly, by the way, because it's the 80s, a little bit heavy, not even fat. So like moderately poorly, Chubby Jack. She's going to report him to the ATF because only she should have nerve gas.
She's not a real one.
She's not a real one.
She's not a real one. She's a little bit of a bitch.
No, a little bit of a bitch. She thinks only she should have Uzis and nobody else should have a fucking Uzi. But so anyway, they got this whole plan. And it's the kind of book where they're not telling you what the plan is until it comes on there. Okay, so what they don't tell you is going to happen, because they have this all planned, is that they're trying to force a confrontation at this canyon area. But of course it goes wrong. And I do appreciate the way it goes wrong, because first you see it the way that they think it's going to happen. It all goes fucked up. And she's like, oh shit. Paraplegia was always coming for me, because she gets shot in the back. Her kid gets killed in front of her because she thinks, oh, the kid was always going to die. And she just fucking dies. And like, okay. So that's not great. Cause Stephan went back in time to try to kill fucking Hitler. And then was going to come back and handle her, because that's what happens when you try to fucking multitask. It's never good. You can't do that. So what he does instead, when he comes there and he finds out that everything has gone absolutely fucking tits up, is he just chucks a message through the time machine. Because, of course, the problem always is that you can't mess with the timeline except for when you can. I mean, Doctor Who was always like, you can't mess with the timeline except for when you totally can. And when
they're
you totally
fixed points.
Right, they're life fixed points. And it never makes any sense. You just have to go with it, whatever. So, he knows he has a very limited number of time travel trips to take because, of course, they're going to try to be murdering him on the way in every time now. So, on the one hand, he's trying to take down the Third Reich. On the other hand, he's trying to make her not get sex murder wheelchaired. The question of whether...
Equitable choices.
The question of whether she would have been just fine in the wheelchair and less sex murdered does not come up to him. But anyway, so he's got a complicated plan. And let me just go through what actually happens in the plan, because this is how it's presented to you. He's like, okay. They have gotten their Commodore 64. They have gotten to where they can very precisely plot where they come out, this and that. And he has gotten a backpack full of Winston Churchill's books. And he time travels. He doesn't actually time travel, because it's also a space travel. Every time travel machine has to be a space travel machine. Otherwise, you would end up in the blackness of space. But so he space time travels without traveling to time to Churchill's bunker. And he's like, and I just assume I have a German accent. I've got important shit to tell you, dude. Please don't let them shoot me. Mein Herr.
Was he ever in a bunker?
Yes.
Did he have his own bunker?
Yeah. If you saw Doctor Who.
I thought he just like stayed in.
I mean, there's like a command center and shit. It's under London.
Well,
you see it in Doctor Who.
Oh, that is true. He did have that little on. I wonder if that's still a thing. I wonder if you can go visit.
I think you can. Anyway, so he goes and he's like, no, I have something to tell you, Mr. Churchill. And everybody's like, well, all right. And Churchill's like, let him come. He's got obviously he's got a cigar and this shit.
My husband hates Winston Churchill. He thinks he's the most overblown character.
Well, so anyway, he's like, guess what? I'm a Nazi fucking deserter. I'm here to give you the war. You need to bomb this time machine.
I'm also a time traveler.
Yeah.
He tells them straight up, I'm a time traveler.
But
I've got all your future books.
But not right now. I'm a space traveler. What? No, if you time travel, you space travel.
I'm not that. I'm just, this book is stupid.
It's fucking stupid. Because he's like, let me show you the 1998 printing of your books. And Churchill's like, nah, that reads like me. But this dumb fuck, this absolute fucking stupidest man alive, which I mean, I guess makes sense because he was the night watchman who could not actually drop his accent. But so this guy is like, okay, what I need you to do is to fucking bomb into the Stone Age fucking glass where the time travel machine is. And Churchill's like, okay, all right, I can do that. I mean, we got runs to go into Berlin all the time. Frankly, if we could have dropped them that specifically, we would have already done that. But anyway, next. That's cool. Just out of curiosity, just talking man to man, what happens to Russia after the war? This motherfucker, this dumbass fuck is like, oh, well, let me tell you what happens to Russia after the war. Like, okay, I know your husband doesn't like Winston Churchill. Does he think Winston Churchill is too fucking stupid to have asked that question and then have done something with it?
No, I think my husband thinks that Winston Churchill is really fucking overblown and absolutely would have asked that question and done something with it.
I mean, my God, what the fuck? I cannot believe Stephan was that fucking dumb. It was like an afterthought. It was like by the way, like a Columbo thing. It was like Columbo
would have had more forethought.
Columbo would have had this shit handled.
Yes, Columbo would have had, like, Columbo would have been like, hey, it's okay to be in a wheelchair. You're fine. You had a good life.
I would watch the shit out of Columbo Time Traveler Mysteries. Oh my God, give me this.
This book is stupid. Anyway.
Did y'all know that Patrick McGowan directed an episode of Columbo? And when I heard that, I was like, that's amazing. We need to watch it. And we watched it. And the whole time we wanted to die. It is so bad. It is awful. It is like, we spent the whole episode being like, is this happening? And why is this happening? And can it stop happening?
Sometimes, gentle listeners, I listen to our episodes and I'm like, Jesus, Courtney, you talk a lot. And then the episodes where we just let Sarah go are my favorites because, like, we're on a journey.
What? You've never watched a ton of Columbo?
Who are you talking to? I love Peter Falk, but anyway, I'm just saying, back to what we're doing. Focus up.
Oh, okay.
Up.
Anyway, so the Russians. So anyway, he tells Churchill, all right, fuck him up, bitch. And Churchill's like, I'm gonna fuck him up, bitch. And then he's like, well, I hope this fucking works because I can't come back because they're gonna fuck him up, bitch, right? So what he does is he chucks a fucking note in. He's like, go into the canyons. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna go in the fucking canyons. She got her nerve gas under her fucking arm. She got her baby under, he's like 9. It's a baby, all right? It's my baby. Under her fucking arm, and they go into the canyons, and this is actually, like, really fucking tense action shit. And they eke it out. Like, she just, like, nerve gasses this guy's face, the last guy, and whew, that's the end of it. Oh, my God. It's over. And I don't know if it's now or throughout the whole thing, but the guy said, well, he's stranded now in her time. Like, that's it. The time machine has been.
He told her that he fell in love with her the minute he saw her when she was in a wheelchair and she wrote a book.
Which wasn't even her. It was a different timeline her. And she's like, what am I supposed to fucking do with that?
Right. And like, but then he's like, I thought you might appreciate some legs that worked. And that's how I fucked your whole life up.
Yeah, the way that your best friend, like her twin sister, died screaming in a fire, that was me. And also, like, literally everything else. I can't say whether it was me or not, but it was probably me.
He's like, and she's like, well, I love my husband Danny. He's like, well, okay.
But okay, we'll talk about this later. But he does not push her. No, he does not feel entitled at all to her affections, even though he, on his part, has time traveled a million times and has dodged, like, the entire Third Reich. He does not think that she owes him anything, and I appreciate him for that, okay? I will give him that. But the thing is, he is stuck there, and I kind of feel like if I were her, I would feel some responsibility because, like, what the fuck is he going to do now? He doesn't have a fucking birth certificate.
She gets him now. her and Ruth through Fat Jack or Fat whoever.
No, Ruth is married to a fancy Hollywood producer.
No, but they get him all the shit. They get him real stuff because the fat anarchist that she then like is like, thank you for your trouble. I'm turning you in. Like he gets her all that shit. She gets it. He gets
you would
her,
have to. I mean, like,
yeah,
what do
he
you
gets
do?
her. He gets Stephan. he gets a whole new identity as Stephan Urkel, and right after that, her thanks is like, I'm turning you in.
Yeah, because she is not a real one.
She's not, but
She's ride or not die.
But eventually, after like a year and a half, they end up together, and that's the end of the book.
Yeah.
They save the world, and he gets to finally bang her with working legs.
Yeah.
That's really all he ever wanted. This custodian, this night watchman, like Earl the wise janitor for Breakfast Club.
Like, he washed out of language school.
Ugh. Anyway, question time.
I mean, I probably would too. I couldn't lose my southern ass accent.
I'm not saying that. I just okay. Question.
They think my accent is cute. I don't know what they're talking about though, because I talk normal and the rest of you motherfuckers.
Big dick energy or big dick energy? The biggest dick in this is Danny. Danny who dies, because Danny is a real one.
Yeah.
Aside from giving away creepy frogs, and being like, he comes in really hard. He comes in very like nice guy. But he loves her. He's always like encouraging her and her book.
And he's about her career.
Oh my God. And he's got his own career. Like, and the thing is, he doesn't take advantage of her. He like he's an investment guy. So he invests her money wisely. He never does anything bad.
He's
like,
amazing. He's
the best. And then like he essentially like soldiers on as like, I'm saving my wife and my child. And
like, he is dying, and he like,
he's fucking great. We love him. Stephan, I don't give a shit about. Like, that little fucker.
He is he's kind of weak. He's kind of colorless. That's what happens when you're a blonde man, Courtney.
Well, Danny was a blonde man too, but
Really?
he was the dauber of the dauber blondes. he was kind of Vikingish, and then like this little mealy mouth Nazi. All right.
Well, okay, he's doing his best, I guess, but would you talk shit with her about the heroin?
So she, aside from turning in fat anarchist Jack, she's great. Like, she's great with her friends.
Sarah motherfucking Connor, motherfucker.
She's also like really great with her son. Like, there's a lot of like letting him be a kid.
Yeah. She is trying to preserve his childhood as much as she possibly can. At the same time, the second that she realizes that she's got to go hard, she goes fucking hard.
Yes, and like, but she has really great Yeah, she seems.
This is, I'm sure, what I liked about it.
She's got good jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not, I mean, she's traumatized.
And I think that leads
she's never broken.
It leads well to Back Down a Bitch, because her and Ruth have great conversations.
Ruth is such a real person.
I felt like this was really probably written by Gerda.
That's probably rude to Dean, but I agree.
No, because it's like really like, it's all about found family and talking about like, okay, we all have these like traumatic pasts, but how do we move forward? Like, that part is great. Mm-hmm. It's great.
It's so good.
And it's like, they call each other sisters, and I loved it.
But I mean, at the same time, like, Ruth never gets over her sister's death.
No, she never.
She doesn't just like blink. I mean, like, it's always there. But,
no, but it does. I mean, I think what she does is it's a really good example of living in grief.
Yeah.
Because like people, you know, like the thing of like, well, you always have to have a happy ending and fix it. Like, you don't always, like, you can live happily and not have a happy ending.
Yeah.
And I think like, and so when one of the books that, Laura writes, she writes about like, again, what they call themselves, like the Wonder Twins. And so like, Ruth is incredibly moved by it, and it's really great.
Well, that somebody remembered her sister.
And remembered her well, and remembered her as like a person, and not just like an idealized version of herself.
And especially because they were in this girl's home, it could be easy to feel like this was a child who got thrown away, right? But this was a person who was remembered. I mean, I don't know. This whole bit was so fucking good. Maybe this is also why I love this book, even though it's about this like fucking Nazi time traveler, that it's about these women who make their own found families and triumph, like, not because a Nazi was always looking out for them, but because they were, you know, nobody's going to save us but us, right?
Right.
So, and I mean, I also fucking love the Sarah Connor shit in this. Like,
it's so good.
Oh my God. Like, when shit goes down, she is ready, and she does not need to be saved. She saves him. She saves her son. She saves everybody because she has been practicing. when it comes to consent, is this book Marvin Gaye or Robin?
I think if somebody's just messing with your timeline, then
that's the thing. This is very bifurcated, I guess, because mess with your timeline, this man is all Robin Thicke.
And all anybody wanted to do was like sexually assault this child.
Oh my God. It's like if you get stymied.
This is like a VC Andrews level of like wanting to child assault.
Jesus.
Like this little girl could walk down the street with somebody. Like, I mean, maybe this is the 80s. It's just like sexual assault. It was like fucking Donkey Kong, and the barrels were like
because like
sex predators be like, here I am,
one sex
here
predator.
I am. Got it.
Oh my God, it just got worse, right? But on the other hand, like what I really, as an adult, liked about this book a lot is that like in a lot of these books, you save a woman, you get the woman. That's your fucking prize. You save her, you get her, and he doesn't even assume that he's gonna get her. He just explains like, I'm sorry. This is probably weird for you. I've been in love with you forever.
I just love you, and I wanted you to have some good legs.
Okay.
You got some legs, Lieutenant Dan.
That's fucked up. But then she's like, I love my husband. And he's like, okay, I'm sorry. I just wanted to...
I'll just be the dad of your son.
I just wanted to tell you, but I don't feel like you owe me anything. And I don't feel like, it's all up to you. I'm just going to be over here.
I mean, no, he's
looking sad.
He is a very beta little former Nazi. So good for him.
I know. I mean, I do appreciate.
No, it's fine.
No, I mean the when they actually do end up together.
He is putting his dick all in her timeline.
No, I agree. That's bad. But then, like when it actually comes down to it, and they interact as adults, that he backs off. He respects her boundaries, and like when they end up together, it feels legitimate.
Yeah.
I like that a lot about this book.
Fair enough.
How badly are you judging your mama?
She wouldn't have read this shit.
Oh, my mama would have read this shit.
No, she did not.
I feel like everybody was reading this shit.
She didn't like she wasn't doing a Dean Koontz Stephen King business. But
well, I mean, I guess my particular moms weren't.
My mom was the one who got me reading this, so.
I was reading this shit because I was reading Stephen King, and then when you read Stephen King, you run out of them.
Would Florida ban it?
Oh, well.
The ableism in it is gross. Like,
yeah.
He is like, I will fuck up your whole world. And possibly these other two girls that just got caught in like a crossfire.
Or not to mention, maybe, I might even ruin the anti-Nazi
He murders
campaign.
Thelma.
He does.
Because if he had just let her be in a wheelchair and happy, Thelma might still be alive.
Not to mention, he's trying to kill Hitler, and I feel like that should be your point.
But it's also
if you get like tempted out by the pussy and you're trying to kill Hitler,
the pussy's still there. But why does it have to have legs attached?
No, it does not have to have legs attached. And I mean, the thing is, like, obviously, if you have a choice, should you let the drunk man?
I thought that this book would have been much better served if like the timeline had corrected itself, and that she was shot and like her spinal cord severed, and that she was just in a wheelchair. That would have been.
Remember, it's not even that she was shot; it's that she was delivered with a bad forceps delivery.
I know, but what I'm saying,
so it didn't happen when she was 8. We don't even know if that guy would have tried to rape her.
But what I'm saying is that like if she had just been in the wheelchair at the end, like she was supposed to be like, I would have like had more respect for this book. But it was like, no, she cannot be a whole person unless she can walk.
Yes.
Now it doesn't matter, and like no, she would not have had Chris, and she wouldn't have had Danny.
But we don't know that.
But yeah, by whatever he saw,
maybe they would have eventually gotten together. We don't know,
because Danny wouldn't have cared. Danny, I felt like would have read that thing and loved her anwe. So I felt like he was
the worst thing in the world.
He
is
was
to
robbing.
lose a wheelchair.
He was robbing. He was wearing his unwanted testicles all over her timeline.
I do agree that the ableism is the beginning of what probably fucked up a lot of people.
And then you got like poor fat Jack.
You know how many people actually like died because once the Nazis started to show up in fucking Palm Springs,
killing everybody.
They're killing everybody, and this all happened.
Know.
And that wasn't his choice; that was their choice.
I know.
Still, a lot of people die in this
because he didn't want a hot blonde in a wheelchair.
Because like what he was trying to do was kill Hitler, and that happened in 1945. No, this happened in 1988.
He's just like, dude. This is what happens when you put somebody without the degree. You know what I'm going to do?
Oh, I thought you were against credentialism.
Well, I am against credentialism. What I'm against is dumbassery, which is like this guy being like, there
should be somebody in charge of this shit, right?
Insane. insane. Like,
Even if they're Nazis.
Again, the one in the time travel Confederacy book,
I did read that.
That time machine in that book that we did was more locked up than this one. Like, 'cause he could just like sweep, like he's like sweeping by and he's like, let me push a button. Oh, fuck Stephan Urkel. Right.
No, I thought we were talking about Guns of the South, which is also,
Yeah, I'm just talking about like, how does he just get a hold of this equipment? He's just the night watchman.
Well, it was evidently left unattended because the thing is, in my experience in life, if you have an extraordinarily expensive piece of equipment that costs $1 bazillion to run all the time, you run it all the time because the people are the cheap part. So you always got people
But what
going
I'm
in.
saying is
It doesn't matter because it doesn't make any sense.
The only outfits, you're not leaving the house looking like that.
No, wait.
No, Ruth
has some amazing outfits.
She's always like,
She went punk, then she went glam. She did anything that David Bowie did, Ruth did, and
Yeah.
she did it so even better. She was so good. Oh my God, I love Ruth so much.
she was great.
She was so great.
Because she
wearing
thought she
wigs.
wasn't attractive. And so she was like, I'm going to do things to like offset my unattractiveness. And then she marries this hot ass like Hollywood director.
Oh my God.
She's like very, like again, she's like very Bette Midler, Penny Marshall, like the best of us. But she doesn't end up with stupid Rob Ryder. So good for her.
Well, she's amazing. I love her so much. She is one of the best characters I've seen.
Yeah,
as a
she's
woman,
so good.
Written by a man.
That's
No, it had to be his wife.
That's Gerda. Okay.
That's Gerda. Would your 12-year-old self any dog in your pain? Just there's no sex in this. This is very
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean there is. But it's horrible.
That man can write some sex because in some of his other ones he has written sex, but this is not a sex book.
No. Well, thank God. Because
Well, I
mostly it's
know.
people like trying to
Just
rape a
wanna rape
child.
somebody.
Oh my God. So what pairs nicely with this dumpster
Some kind
fire?
of bullshit German beer.
Don't say bullshit. I mean, okay.
If I'm talking about Nazi German beer, I'm going to call it bullshit German beer.
Okay, that's fair enough. I don't know. We got to do Jaeger bombs.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yes.
I have never.
You've never done
No, because I have self-respect.
Girl, you were not 20 years old at one point?
I was, but I went to a women's college.
Oh my God. I did it. I did all the bombs. I did the Jaeger bombs. I did
The car bombs.
I did the Irish car bomb. The Jaeger bomb is the better of the bombs. What pairs nicely? We did that one. Should a person in the 21st century read this book?
Honestly, okay, so I had previous history with this book, and I really enjoyed it. Reading it again.
It was good. It was fine. It's not.
There was a point where I was like, wait, they are Nazis, right? Because you don't know. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
like they really hold down on that for a long time with this shit. I'm not saying you should read it, so don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that, like, I was afraid of reading it again because I remember them being Nazis. They are actually found Nazis. But it was okay. You know, I mean, the thing is, like, that the sexual assault haunting this woman is
That's way worse than the Nazis.
Yeah, oh my God.
We don't get into the Nazis.
because the guy is 100% no Nazi. I mean, the guy is like, fuck Nazis, right? But he's like, he's not 100% fuck child molesters.
No.
He only 99% fucks that one child molester.
If he had just killed that guy from the jump.
Oh my God. And he says, she's like, why did you not come when this guy tried to kill me? I had to kill him with a broken water glass.
do so much.
And he actually said, no, I checked it on you later and you were okay. Like, fuck you.
I'm saying he's an idiot.
Are you my guardian or are you
Like,
not
does he
my
get a
guardian?
job? Or is he like, this was like, Danny was making money for her. This guy's just going to be.
Oh, no, he's going to be. And that's always the thing about, like, okay, the reverse portal thing. Like, I always wonder that. Like, yeah, like, you go to their world, and of course, you're always the best magic user. You're always the best swordsman. Well, they come to your world. A, they don't have a fucking birth certificate. B, what are they going to do? They can't fucking read. They going to wash dishes?
Yes.
They're going to wash dishes.
Well, I guess she's rich enough.
Yeah, she's got the money. And she's evidently the kind of author where you actually recognize her when you see her, which, by the way, I'm a fucking reader's advisory librarian. I would recognize 4 authors, maybe. One of them is Neil Gaiman, and another is Stephen King.
Yeah, and then, like, how does she... Yeah, anyway. So...
So happy road trip summer.
Yeah, vacation read summer. This has been Dean Koontz's Lightning.
This is a good vacation read, however, I would say. This is an absolutely...
I'd rather be struck by lightning.
Oh my God, I enjoyed it. This is a mix. This is a split decision.
So you can find us on social media, and you can find us at bottistipplers.com. We have a Patreon at bottistipplers.com. If you want to throw money at us for reading this kind of bullshit, we would love it. We guarantee that none of our money goes back in time to help the Nazis. And
Yeah, I think we can actually safely say that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll Stephan Urkel you later.
Bottist Tipplers is part of the Frolic Network. Find more podcasts you'll love at frolic.media/podcasts.